watching. Please like and subscribe to help us spread TIPA's positive approach message around the world.
Yay. All right. We're here. It's Friday. We are on for Live at 5. Welcome everyone out there in Facebook world, or if you're watching on replay, thank you for watching. Make sure that you are actually hitting like or commenting or sharing this out, because the more you do that, the more people that need this will see this. So some of you may have stopped because we're going to talk about a topic today that is out there. It's a question we get from families. It's a question we get from professionals. It's a situational kind of piece that will come across, maybe even if you're not working with someone living with dementia in your care or in your day. But before we start, a huge thank you to lots of you out there who may be watching that either attended a champion today with us live. That was a couple hours ago, or earlier this week we had a trainer course where people are coming to earn a certification so that they can go out and teach some of this TIPA inspired and created content to other folks. So
hey, Alejandro, did you have any demented people on with you during these events?
Actually, we don't say demented people, so I wish you would stop saying that.
Well, we don't use that word?
No, don't use that, because we say people living with dementia.
Okay.
Okay, so that is not the Alejandro you may have seen or heard, and that is not the word Shelley uses.
No,
so
not at all.
You noticed the word out there if you were watching and just heard Shelley use that one word that kind of sent me to a different place.
Yeah, that was a little diamond response there, Alejandro.
Yeah, sorry, Shelley, you weren't.
That's okay. That's okay. I know, because that would be my response normally too. So
yeah, so today we are going to dig into what we would call forbidden words, which are made up of ugly words, sex talk, racial slurs. I mean, all of these topics that for us are pretty taboo in our culture. That we don't usually openly talk about. They're actually stored in a specific place that we'll talk about soon. But Shelley used the word demented. And truly, it's not a word that either Shelley or I use. I actually did have to prompt Shelley, and Shelley said, I can try it, but I only want to say it once. Mm-hmm. Because on our courses, we do include people living with dementia, but we don't use the word demented because we have a different understanding of the word. Mm-hmm. And for us, we like to use people living with dementia, because people comes first in that phrase. And that's how we think about people living with dementia. They're people, they're our friends. Mm-hmm. But what I did was not responsive to Shelley. You may have noticed that was a bit more reactive. Mm-hmm. So truly, that's what I want to do when I hear the word. When I hear that word demented, mm-hmm. that's what my instinct says to do, is don't use that term. It's actually really offensive. Mm-hmm. And that's one of my terms that I hear now and go, whoa, wait a minute. That is, God, I don't like that.
Right.
Man. So if you're out there watching, go ahead and drop into the comments a term that, or a phrase that you've heard that for you is forbidden, but that will send you to like Shelley said, a diamond state or a not so flexible state with people. Mm-hmm. When you hear it, we got one, Shelley?
Well, that one's the worst. I mean, I'm trying to think of other what I consider ugly words for our friends. Well, when they say the patient with dementia, that also puts me on edge. And it's not super forbidden, but it's just not the way I want to refer to people.
Yeah.
People are people first.
You got it. Yeah. And so these words for both Shelley and I are actually locked in our forbidden word box. Mm-hmm. We've put them there on purpose. And for other people, it's in their normal vocabulary.
Yeah. Elaine said she hears senile.
Senile. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And incompetent or incapable is what Audrey just put up there.
Yeah. I mean, those words, they're in a separate place for Shelley and I. Now, I will honestly say, before I started working for PAC, the word demented, I would have had zero reaction to that before I worked for PAC. But I have a different understanding now. And so when Shelley said the word, my reaction was, now, Shelley, don't say that, because that's actually really offensive to people. Mm-hmm. But Shelley, how does it feel when someone says, don't do that, don't say that, don't?
Well, I want to get right back up in your face and say, well, why the hell not?
Yeah. Okay, now Shelley is starting with...
I can talk any way I want, right? What are you talking about? Yeah, I mean... Sorry.
So when I try to get Shelley to not use the forbidden words, Shelley actually used another word that could be forbidden for folks.
Yeah.
And so this idea that I'm no longer actually on Shelly's side anymore, even though she was wanting to converse with me, I've now turned this into a confrontation. But I did it without meaning to, because it's a reaction that I had.
Right.
And so frequently the normal reaction is something like, now don't say that, Mom. Mom, you can't. Shh, shh, shh.
Not here,
How's that?
not here.
Not here. Yeah. And if you've tried that, because I have, my grandmother said some, they were okay, not the worst things in the world, but saying that she would like to go for a roll in the hay with someone was not what I thought was appropriate for the moment. So saying, Grandma, he's gonna hear you, she just got louder. But that's before I had any awareness that there's something different to try. So this week we had a blog post that went out, which is really covering this topic. And I'll ask Shelly to drop it in the chat if you like to explore our written content. You can go ahead and take a look at it, but it has some strategies. And really the first strategy is, instead of trying to shut the person down, actually coming alongside them with what they're focused in on. Now, the trick here is, if you're uncomfortable saying the exact words they said, you're going to want to match up with the topic and the thing they're focused on. So if the situation is my grandmother talking about rolling in the hay with some guy that she finds attractive, I actually am going to focus in on that. It's like steering into the tornado almost, but I'm not going to use those words.
Yeah. So what would you say instead?
Oh, so here's, after a deep breath, actually, and going, ooh, oh, attractive guy, huh? Because that's all about my brain could come up with in that moment, Shelly. And that's only after a lot of review for me. Yeah.
I think I could have said, yeah, not bad. I agree.
Not bad, yeah. So this can be comical looking back on it, right? And so the use of forbidden words actually comes from a specific place. So every time you use one of those initially, because most of us started trying some of those out when we were young, our brains are so amazing and incredible. They actually are stored over here in our right temporal lobe. They're actually put away in a special place for special times and special uses, because your mom had a reaction when you said that, or your grandparent, or whoever heard you say that and recognized that's not the way I want you to talk, had that reaction. But as a child, you went and put that over here. So for me, I do pull those words out, but I choose to do it at this point.
Right.
And I choose to say them in my car when someone cuts me off and no one hears me and my kids aren't in the car. Right. And so if you're out there, you may want to drop in the comments where you use those forbidden words, but for you, it comes out and it's an okay place because you don't use them all the time. Yeah. So
I say them in my head a lot.
You got them in your head.
I don't always.
Yeah, I've not heard you do it, Shelly, really. And I would be probably more startled than listening to my grandmother make that.
Yeah, comment. Actually, I was going to say, yeah, you've never been in a meeting with me where I've let loose. So
yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, maybe that's good. But we use these terms and they come out. And sometimes we're using them purposefully at this point, if you're living without brain change. And even if you are not living without brain change, sometimes they come out without you even realizing it. Watering my grass yesterday, watering the lawn, I got the hose out. Something scurries by me quickly, and it's an immediate word that starts with F.
Oh, and that's mine's an S.
Yours is an S, mine's an F. See, we're keeping it kind of PG out there, by the way. We're not getting too risky or dangerous. But that, I went, oh my God, is my kid around right after that? Because it was without thinking. That's a reaction, but it came from that right temporal lobe. So here's the difference with people, when people are starting to live with brain change. Our left temporal lobe actually holds all of these really deep language skills of comprehension and speech production and vocabulary, but stored in our right temporal lobe, which is frequently less affected by brain change, forbidden words, all those ugly words that you never say, the sex talk, the racial slurs, all the stuff is stored here that really gets other people to change their gem state and go, oh, why is she saying that? But the trick is we've got to start being responsive versus being reactive to those words.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I'm going to encourage you to do is, if you are out there working with the situation, if you are working with someone, you have a few words that you've heard, get someone else who's willing to say them a couple times out loud with you so that you can try your response.
Yeah.
So you're drilling and practicing so that when it does come up, it's less shocking.
Mm-hmm.
And you actually have rehearsed a little bit of what you want to say back.
Yeah. I'd also say, could we also rehearse just taking a breath?
Just taking a pause and a breath before I do anything.
Yeah, like kind of hold it in a second. Oh, okay. Ooh,
even
all
if
right.
you start with the ooh, it's at least you aren't slamming the person for using that word that really is inappropriate probably for the social setting that you're in. Yeah. But they could be doing it without having chosen that word. It may be the word that they have left there.
Right. Right.
So it could also be a varying situation where something visually has attracted my attention, and I use the words that I have, which sometimes are the words that are forbidden words for the social setting. Mm-hmm. So I'm also going to ask Shelley to drop a link in the chat for TIPA for 10. So that's TIPA's morning session, where she explores a little more about what could be causing these words to come out in situations, and also some strategies and things to think about when you're dealing with the situation of sex talk, ugly words, racial slurs, because it's likely going to happen. And this, again, is a thing that could happen to you even if you're not working with someone living with dementia. You're just working with someone else who has a different set of words than you do.
Right.
Yeah. So check out the blog. Check out the video. If this is helpful, let us know how it's helpful. If something else this week has been helpful for you that you found from PAC that was a resource, share it out, because the more you share, the more people get what they're looking for out there, because people are seeking help. So we want to be helpful. And you guys are a huge part of doing that for us.
Yep. So
hopefully you're ending your day by not saying a whole bunch of forbidden words, or ending your week. But if you have been, it's your time to take some deep breaths, like Shelley said, and think about how you want to rephrase the thing. All right. Well, thank you, Shelley. Thank you to everyone out there. Be well, stay safe, and we'll see you next week.